We're talking to Kansas 1st District Congressman Tracy Mann. And Tracy, first of all, the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility ribbon cutting took place earlier this week in Manhattan. You and I have talked about this several times. One of those things that I always kept asking you, so when's it going to be done? So when's it going to be done? Well, it finally was, and it had to be gratifying. I saw some photos from Senator Marshall's office to see that ribbon and see Pat Roberts' work finally come to Kansas and get finished.
Yeah, it's been a massive team effort. Senator Roberts gets a lot of credit. Senator Moran, Senator Marshall, folks in the House as well, and the Manhattan community, Kansas State University. Having NBAF in Kansas is a big, big deal. Been in the work for more than a decade. This is a $1 billion project which will do cutting-edge animal health research, unlike anywhere in the world. So it's a crown jewel and really exciting for animal agriculture as a whole and for here in Kansas.
Were you able to come back for that, or did you have to be in Washington because of some of the stuff that you had going on before the holiday?
No, we had both scheduled in Washington, D.C., so unfortunately I was not able to be at the ribbon cutting. But I've toured NBAF multiple times, and it was certainly an exciting day for the state of Kansas and the Manhattan community as well.
Well, and I know that they're trying to get a lot done before the Memorial Day break, but at least it looks like, as of the time that we're having a conversation, the debt ceiling votes, assuming that there would need to be another one, won't happen before that break happens. That said, you guys voted on this once. Let's be really clear. A version of this passed the House.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So to be crystal clear, I voted to increase the debt limit as part of the Limit, Save, Grow bill. Very reasonable piece of legislation. It passed the House a month ago. And by the way, President Biden wasted 197 days, almost 100 days, more than 3 months, in being unwilling to negotiate. So, Speaker McCarthy and the president met February the 1st, initial meeting talking about this, and then the President of the United States literally was unwilling to meet for 3 months. But now here we are, last minute, unfortunately, but voted over a month ago. There's a good piece of legislation that would extend the debt limit. I wish the White House and the Senate Democrats would just sign on to that, and we could all move down the road.
Well, and that's the point that I guess I want to try to make, is that some of the narrative is saying, hey, the House won't move on this. But let's talk about the legislative process for just a second. I was at the State House for years, and now you've been on Capitol Hill for a while. When something gets passed and the other side of the building doesn't pass anything, it becomes difficult for you guys to negotiate on anything, leaving aside the executive branch. So doesn't it feel like at least you would hope that the Senate would do something so that you guys could have something to shoot out on both sides?
Yeah, they have not done a single thing. And, that certainly is not our senators from Kansas' fault. It's Chuck Schumer, who leads the majority in the Senate. They have put forward nothing on the debt limit, not a single thing, Nick. And so we're left in this spot where House Republicans, passed out a bill that would extend it. If the president would get behind that, and a handful of Senate Democrats would as well, we would put this whole thing at rest. Unfortunately, it seems like the president is more interested in defaulting than in negotiating, and it's been really discouraging to see the actions taken by the White House over the last few days, weeks, and months.
Okay, so you come home for Memorial Day, but it's also one of those work periods where you're back in Kansas. How long is that for?
As scheduled, last votes were yesterday, so Thursday, most members flew home, and then we'll be doing Memorial Day things, and then are prepared to get called back to Washington at any time if there are further votes needed for the debt limit. So we'll be doing a bunch of stuff for Memorial Day, a very important holiday as we all commemorate those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country and those that served in our military. But 24 hours notice, will be given, and then everyone will fly back to D.C. and pass anything as needed.
Well, and obviously that's probably going to be not very long after the holiday, given that the Treasury seems to think that it's going to be early June when everything would kind of come to a head. They aren't exactly sure which day, and that's the other part that the real people, I guess, don't understand. is, you and I have a checkbook at home, Tracy, and when we write something in the checkbook register, we know exactly how much we have in the checkbook register. How come the federal government can't do that?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And I think we understand the debt limit, we've reached a maximum that we can borrow, $31.4 trillion, by the way. That's 31,000 billions. But we hit the debt limit. That does not mean that the government can't pay any of its bills and things seize up. What that means is that the treasurer has to prioritize which bills get paid and which ones don't. Remember, June 15th, a lot of corporations, pay their tax bill that's due June 15th. Depending on the timing of when those receipts, come in next month, will provide more liquidity to the government to keep paying more bills. And so it really means the treasurer starts to prioritize certain things. And there's some uncertainty about the June 1st date as well. Thursday,
we talked a little bit about the decision that was handed down Thursday morning regarding the Waters of the U.S. rule. This is the court case that's been hanging out there for a while based upon what happened, I believe, during the Obama administration. But can you try to go back over kind of what WOTUS means to agriculture? It's a big deal.
Yeah, this is a huge ruling, one of my highest priorities, and we've been doing a lot of work and effort fighting back against administration on this. So to level set for everybody, WOTUS is Waters of the U.S., part of the Clean Water Act, and everybody is for clean water. But what happened is the Obama administration rolled out all these regulations. Trump rolled them back. Biden is now rolling back forward. That would give, Nick, the federal government the ability to regulate farm ponds, drainage ditches, way beyond the scope and the purview of what the Clean Water Act ought to be. It's called WOTUS, Waters of the U.S., is this whole effort. And we've introduced legislation against this. We've been very outspoken on it. There's been a lot of court cases as well. Yesterday, great news, a key court case that was at the Supreme Court, basically rule in favor of the Sackett family in Idaho, who claimed that the EPA did not have the authority to regulate streams and bodies of water on their property without a significant connection to a major body of water. So this is a big deal. It was unanimous, so it wasn't a split decision. It was unanimous, which means this really puts a damper on this federal overreach that Biden's been pushing. This is the great news we've all been hoping for as we've been trying to fight it legislatively as well. So great news from the Supreme Court and a good day for our ag producers and oil and gas producers as well.
Well, the point being that, obviously nobody wants to see anything where poisons, whether they be pesticides that end up in runoff or anything else, ends up in drinking water. Nobody wants to see that. But the bottom line is you also want to be able to regulate yourself, the water on your own land. So that's what this case was all about, right?
No, that's exactly right. It's about local control. And by the way, our ag producers, farmers, ranchers, they are the world's original conservationists. They don't want and will not do things that are detrimental to their farming practices, caring for their land, being good stewards. So it makes no sense for the federal government to come out and say that they have the ability and would start regulating ditches, farm ponds. It's just way beyond what the federal government ought to be doing. So this is a great ruling, and it's fantastic news.
Well, unfortunately, Tracy, it's more somewhat negative news on the agriculture front that you and I probably better chat about in the couple minutes we have left, and that's just that despite some of the rain that we've gotten lately, and we will take every drop and thank God for it and hit our knees and ask for more, but it's come really pretty late in the season for wheat producers. What are you hearing in terms of the big picture as far as the wheat crop and how much the drought has negatively affected it?
Yeah, it's grateful to your point, answered prayers that we are getting some rain throughout Kansas. Not nearly enough. We are way behind. And so, we are anticipating, and everybody knows our wheat crop this year as a state will be way down. The timing of this is good news as farmers are planting corn, planting soybeans, milo, other row crops. But we need a lot more moisture throughout our state, to say the least. So we need to keep praying and doing all we can do, which emphasizes the need, Nick, for crop insurance. as Mother Nature, we all know, can be a tough business partner, and you got to have tools in place to help ag producers manage their risk that's brought to them by Mother Nature.
Well, and that was the point I wanted to get to, Tracy. Thank you for leading right into it, because we are in a farm bill year here in 2023, and crop insurance is always a big piece of that legislation as you go forward.
Yeah, and my top priority in this farm bill. So, farm bills are 5-year bills. The current farm bill expires on September the 30th. I'm on the House Ag Committee. We've been doing a lot of work on this next farm bill. My number one priority is crop insurance. It's just such an important risk management tool. I have a lot of other priorities as well, but we've been doing a lot of work on that. And this drought that we're in just emphasizes the point on why crop insurance is so vital.
And again, we've been talking to Tracy Mann. He is our congressman from Kansas 1st District and has been in Washington because they needed to be they're ready to vote in case any deal came for the debt ceiling. But now he's headed home for Memorial Day. Hopefully you'll be able to spend a little bit of time with the family and spend a little bit of time back in central Kansas, Tracy. But I know that you'll be advocating not only for agriculture, but for the rest of your district as soon as they call you back. Thanks for your time.